What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Prop Wiz. I'm your host, the Wiz. Today, I got a dope little item, man. We got this Spawn figure. This is from the comic book 311, Spawn number 311. This is Todd McFarlane through Spawn, giving a shout out to Chadwick Boseman, who, of course, passed away from cancer, famously played Black Panther. And he originally did this in comic book form by having him in that famous Black Panther pose. Of course, a crazy significance to Spawn for me growing up was Spawn was one of the first, like, real prominent, real popular black superheroes. Of course, we had Black Panther. There was definitely other black superheroes. Like, I mean, you had Blade that was dope at the time as well. But just in terms of this rush of comic books, you had Spider-Man #1. Like comic books was real big during that time, especially with Todd McFarlane, Jim Lee. They had all left Marvel to create this new comic book company called Image. And the first extremely popular comic book to come out of it was Spawn. Spawn #1 was crazy. All my friends had it, and so to know that this popular character was indeed black, like you learned in Spawn #1 that he was in fact a black character, was just dope, man. And of course, the way it was written, of course, Todd McFarlane is white, was written by a white man. I know that sounds all negative. There's nothing wrong with that. Don't get upset, white people. Just pointing out the fact, to me, that was real cool that this guy could have made Spawn any race, any color, any nationality, or just stuck with the status quo at the time, and decided to make his first character on this new comic book company, African American man, was just super dope. So for me, I don't know if it was for everybody or if everybody made or anybody else made that connection, but for me to give that shout out to Black Panther, one of the first most famous black superheroes, using Spawn to give him a shout out, I thought that was just more, man. It just makes me like Todd McFarlane even more, man. He's one of my favorite comic book artists, and extremely impressive. Some people, the dude, he some people might say arrogant, man. I just think the dude is he just has a passion for toys, for comic books, man. He makes his toys affordable, which leads us to the actual figure itself. This figure cost me $29. I think it might have been $24 with shipping and everything. It was closer to $30. I end up getting two of them by mistake. I ordered one from McFarlane Toys directly, forgetting that I had actually pre-ordered one from Big Bad Toy as well. So I did get both of them in, which is an awesome thing because this is 30-year special edition. This is, I'm guessing it's the 30 years of McFarlane Toys. So they've had a couple of these gold label figures that they came out. I do love the way this look. I do love the background, the card. So it's cool to have one of these in the package that I can keep in the package. Being that I got this Prop Wiz show, I'm always opening stuff, of course. And I'll probably address her. I prefer to open the toys. I don't like having figures and stuff inside the plastic. I want it out sitting on the shelf somewhere. But every now and then it's cool to have one in the package, and knowing I have one in the package for that value, for that collector's value that you get from collecting. But anyways, I kind of went over the cover a little bit. Of course, we got the window with him in the pose. We got the card with the actual comic book cover on there, and then we got the comic book cover on the back. It's actually saying that it's based on the artwork of Spawn number 311. I'm not sure if McFarlane, I feel like Greg Capullo probably drew this. I'll find out here in a second. Okay, I just looked it up. It was actually McFarlane. I know I said I'm a McFarlane fan, but Greg Capullo, I feel like his style, I can recognize his style when I see it, but there are some panels and some covers that look pretty close, man. I think Capullo, and I think he does it on purpose. I've seen some of his older, earlier drawings, I believe, for Marvel that looks nothing like it looks now. So I don't know if McFarlane was helped influence his style, or does he just draw Spawn that way? But anyway, McFarlane did draw this actual cover, so that makes this figure just that much more special. Okay, that's it with the box, man. Let's go ahead and open this bad boy up. Okay, y'all, the figure is dope. It's very simple. There's no articulation whatsoever. The cape does have that rubber feel, so there's a little give with that. The chains as well is made out of a softer rubber, so the chains do move, but he is in a permanent pose, man. Even the head, nothing moves on this bad boy. Now, for me, I'm an old head. I really don't care. Articulation to me could look ugly. ugly. It's dope if you taking pictures and posing your figures and stuff, man. It is a dope thing. I'm not knocking it at all. Obviously, I got figures that have articulation, but this bad boy is already in the dope pose, right? I mean, we got the comic book pose there. Why would I change it? You know what I'm saying? That's the reason, me personally, the reason why I bought it was because of that Black Panther head nod. He's in that pose. He's stuck there. There's no creases. There's no joints whatsoever. Well, it looked like that. I see it's somewhat a faint little line on the waistline where it looked like, but it does not move, and it's pretty hidden as well. So it looked like probably just the way they put the figure together. So I don't mind. On top of that, it makes this review easier because we can just stick to the details, man. The face, the head sculpt looks crazy, looks very, very realistic, slightly different than the actual comic book cover. I mean, it looks like it's definitely a black dude, but it doesn't necessarily look exactly the way, which isn't a big deal at all. My boy got the fresh cut, man. He got the fresh lineup, got a fade going on. So this is all part of the paint of the head sculpt. There's beard, there's stubble, mustache, beard stubble. It's cut short, but you can just see the 5 o'clock shadow there. Dude, very, very, very sharp head sculpt. The costume itself, again, is dope. It's the black look, of course, the more recent Spawn costume. So it was from a specific time. I believe it was after Spawn number 100, I think, is when he got this new costume, and has been rocking it since. Again, this is 311. So he's been rocking it for at least a good 200 issues, comic book issues. But the paint detail of, again, the bodysuit itself is mostly black, but there are a lot of textures and a mix of textures too. So there's some parts that are smooth, there's some parts that are textured. Again, giving life to the fact that his costume is alive. Remember, his Spawn's costume is actually a living thing, almost like a Venom kind of thing. So there's an alienness to it, or otherworldliness to the texture on the actual bodysuit, and also the paint application on the red parts. You got cracks and cuts in some of the gauntlet, the foot gauntlet boot thingy he be wearing. All the whites are kind of dirty or kind of off and scruffed. There's a weathered look to basically get to the whole thing, man. You got the cape itself, got its rips and tears and bends, and the cape is very, very much in the vein of McFarlane. McFarlane does those. There's just a lot of lines, a lot of creases in his capes. Always done that. I draw myself, actually. My drawing style comes from McFarlane. Not to say I draw anywhere near as good as McFarlane, but I did take that cape thing. The way I see capes is the way he see capes. And you can see it in this scope. It's always cool to see it in 3D, see how it works, because it seemed like something that doesn't work. When you see it drawn, his capes are so crazy, over the top, and ridiculous. It's hard to imagine it working in real life, but they figured it out. The chain's got a cool silverness to it. Again, I said the red has cracked, there's blacks in it, man. Dude, the paint application over the whole thing is super dope. There's not much to it, man. The only sad thing is I do see a part around his foot that is black that I actually think is supposed to be red. So there's one thing that's painted off, but it blends in. If I didn't know it, and I could be wrong, but if I didn't know it, wasn't a fan of the comic book, I would have missed that completely. So not the worst thing in the world. So I will say, absolutely love the figure. My only complaint, which really isn't a complaint, more of a request, I wish they had made this in the 12-inch figure range. I did just buy a Spawn. He just released a special edition Spawn that I think is in the 12-inch. It might be a little less than 12-inch, but it's definitely bigger than this. One of the bigger statues that I just got my hands on. I pre-ordered it, so I haven't physically got my hands on it yet. So this figure, especially it being static and not having any joints, it's not movable, it seemed like this would have been the perfect candidate to make one of those 12-inch figures. And the price of this would have been awesome, and I'm sure 12-inch probably would have been in the $50 range. Let me see the card itself. We talked about the card. Just to read the background, it's Spawn 311. Al Simmons is a Hell Spawn. Upon his death, he was transformed to become a general of Hell's army. But Al is different. He rebelled against his master Malbolgia and broke the chains of his control. Now Spawn stands on the side of humanity, protecting the mortal realm against the threats from both heaven and hell. Sounds real grim, man. I remember I used to have to talk to my mom. My mom actually bought the first couple of issues for me. My mom is religious, was and still is religious, man. So it was kind of hard, man, to convince her to get this for me, man. But she ended up hooking me up. It was awesome. I got Spawn number 1 downstairs. The actual one that was bought off the newsstand is downstairs. Spawn 1 and 2, actually. But anyways, man, the figure is absolutely dope. Again, I love it. I'm trying to look and see if there's any differences in the paint. Dude, I can even see there's some slight differences in the paint from the figure that's in here. Just slight differences. Just some of the weathering is slightly different. So that's Pretty cool little fact, but very consistent. This one doesn't look painted any better than the other one. But anyways, man, that's my thoughts on it. Obviously, I love it. Let me know what you guys think. Did you get your hands on it? It's still for sale now. Again, I believe it's anywhere between $24 and $30. They're still available now. Big Bad Toys had them on their website as recent as yesterday, and I believe McFarlane still has some. Now, there was some special editions. I think he had one that was like a signed copy of this. That one sold off. Sold out immediately, but they still have some of these. So if you see a sold out, make sure you're looking at the right version. There are 2 different versions of these. With that being said, man, if you like this video, please take the time to hit the like button. If you haven't already, please subscribe. In fact, hit the notification button. That way, every time I drop a new video, you'll get notified. As always, I love you guys to death, and I'll check you out next time, all right? Peace.